This is Tap Titan 2 top 5 must-know tips for beating tournaments. Tip 1. Build your foundation. First, you need to level your artifacts evenly. I know it's time consuming and some artifacts might not even be worth it, but trust me, in the long run, it will help you out overall. There are several reasons why. First of all, this video guide will show you how to always rank top in tournaments, but this involves switching builds from a farm build to a push build. And because you'll be switching between builds during this tips video, it's best to level evenly so it's easier to switch builds on the fly. And also with updates, it can nerf the current build, so having the option to switch build is a no-brainer. So first, spend 1 or 2 weeks leveling your current artifacts evenly. I normally do this by reaching my current max stage and then selecting 25 spend amounts and leveling the top 3 artifacts on my list, then prestige, reach max stage again and move to the next 3 on the list, and then rinse and repeat. By the time you've gone through the whole list, especially if you've got all the artifacts, by the time you get to the bottom of leveling all of them evenly, you should be able to each max stage with little to no effort at all. It's when you're at this stage, you're ready to move on to the next part. So step 2 are which builds to use. Now there's 2 builds you'll be using: your farm build in between tournaments and your push build. Now the reason for this is that your farm build is the purpose of getting you prepped and ready, and your push build during tournaments is to gain those stages and win the tournaments. Now there's 2 different approaches for early stage game players. So if people just started to around mid stage, so 15 to 20,000 stage, you want to be using your farm build, and that'll be literally to spend all your relics, to farm as much relics and spending it all on BOS. So you want to be prepping your BOS, that's your Books of Shadows, as high as you possibly can, so spend 100% on leveling that. If you're mid to late stage game player, you want to be spending, I say, 25% on BOS or leveling them up evenly. The reason you hardly spend anything on BOS when you're a late game player is because you get a lot more relics from reaching higher stages as you push in tournaments than you would from leveling your BOS. Now for the actual builds, so for the push builds and for the farm builds, so farm builds could be Heavenly Strike or your Shadow Clone, and push builds could be your clan ship or your hero types. I will put links in the descriptions below of suitable builds that you can find online, and also for skill optimizers you can find online. But you would have to use those guys to tell you which is the best farm builds and push builds for yourself. It all depends on what current artifacts you have and what type of equipment. So I can't tell you that specifically, but check out those guides and links below to pick your best farm build and your best push build, and then in between tournaments farm like crazy, and during tournaments push. Tip number 3 is prepping. When you're farming in between tournaments, the aim of the game is to level your BOS at early stage or level your artifact at later stage, as I mentioned before. Now 24 hours before tournaments, you want to save at least a few relics runs before you start. I normally save about 3 or 5 runs worth before I start a tournament using a farm build. It normally takes me about 20 to 30 minutes, so I'm looking at a couple hours prep worth before I join a tournament. Hence why I would recommend farming 24 hours before you start a tournament, as to give yourself enough time. Also save all your shards. Only buy shard equipment during tournament time, never buy in between. Only once you've started the tournament you should spend shards in the shard shop on buying mystic equipment only. Never ever buy anything else. You should only buy mystic equipment items with your shards. All other items are really not worth it. You can pick up better items as you push anyway. If you can save enough shards to buy 1 or 2 mystic items during the tournament, that's even better. Now diamonds, again, save them and only spend them during tournaments. Don't spend them in between. If you are spending them in tournaments, if you're early stage, I'll say buy pets, because that increases your damage. If you're mid to late, the only thing worthwhile would be Titan chest, and that's just to give you more relics to spend on your artifacts. There is pretty much nothing else you can buy in the shop mid to late stage apart from Titan chests. So that's what you should be spending during your tournament. Tip number 4, when to join. I always try to join a tournament at least the last possible minute. So 30 minutes or less before a tournament finishes. There's less chance of people joining in your level group if the later you leave it. Don't leave it too late, because if you miss the tournament altogether, then all the effort you put into prepping up until now will be wasted. So yeah, it doesn't always work because some people do the same, leave it to the last minute, but there has been rare cases where literally I've been the only one in the tournament because of it. So it is worth giving it a try. Try to leave it last minute. It could help you lose those extra competitive players. And lastly, tip number 5. So tip number 5, using the right build during the tournament. You're all set and you're ready to smash the tournament. First stage of the tournament would be farm build, or the quickest build you possibly have. So Heavenly Strike or Shadow Clone. The reason for this is because when you first play for a tournament, you don't have the use of Porter. So the Porter timing is not in the first playthrough. That means it's very slow. So I personally use a Heavenly Strike build so I can keep smashing the Heavenly Strike button to gain those levels quickly, and then when the Heavenly Strike stops working, I prestige and then switch to a clan ship or any strong push build I've got to level it back up and then to start getting that push. Just a quick summary of what we've gone through. While you're pushing with your best possible push build, use your save shards and buy mythic items. Use your diamonds and buy titan chests, and if you already have all the artifacts, I would use all the save relics you've been prepping for on the top 3 highest tier artifacts you currently have for that build. For example, if you're using a clan ship build, I would probably level up first your all damage, your warrior multiplier or damage multiplier. So on a clan ship build, I'll probably use 25% spends on either divine retribution, crown of constellation, parchment of foresight, and or influential elixir. If I was an early to mid player, I don't have all the artifacts collected yet, I would buy an artifact first and level that artifact near to the same level before I start spending in it on the other artifacts. The reason being is because if you haven't got a high tier artifact, getting a lucky roll and getting one and then leveling it will give you a good power boost in the tournament. And lastly, don't forget to switch out your equipment when switching builds. So if you're currently rocking a Heavenly Strike or Shadow Clone build, but you don't have your Shadow Clone damage or equipped, then obviously it will slow down your progress. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on equipment as you're switching and leveling. Now this is a general guide on the top 5 tips to help you win tournaments, but please note this is all depending on your SPs, your skill points spend, your build layout, current artifacts you have and equipment you have. All these tips though will 100% definitely help you reach a much higher top position every time. Now I can't guarantee first place, but if you do follow this guide, I can guarantee that you should be able to get the top 3 spots on every tournament with little to no effort just following this. If you need any more help with this or have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment below or message me on my Discord server, which I'll put a link below. I hope this video has been helpful and you enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like and subscribe, as your feedback and follow helps me greatly. And any other information or updates you want, or any other information on videos that you need, then leave me a message and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.